With this hood release being broken, we unfortunately have to use the emergency hood release right up in here. We gotta stick the screwdriver in, find the spot, and then give it a little twist. Look at that, she pops right open. So obviously, in order to start all this, to get to this point, you have to make sure you open the hood, and to do that, there's an emergency release right in there. You would just take a flathead screwdriver, put it in here, twist to the right, and it would cause the hood to pop open and release. And if your grill is on, you would just put it through this little hole right here. So if this grill was attached, you go through that hole, send your flathead through, and it would go right to that emergency release. And that's how you get to this point. All right, so to remove your hood release, you're gonna go ahead and take out these 3 screws right here, 1, 2, and 3 over there, and that'll drop your little kick plate. Mine was already out when I got the car. And then over to this left-hand side, there's gonna be these 2 screws. You guys can see them right here, 1 and then 2 back there. And then that's how you would release your hood latch cable, or that's how you would release the hood latch handle. And then under here, there would be another plate that sits under the kick plate, and you can move that out of the way as well. It's just a couple screws to remove that. And then now we're gonna go ahead to the front and try to get the headlight and grill out so we can route this cable through. So to get this grill out, there's gonna be a couple screws, one right here, one right there, and that should do the trick. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then once you have those, at the top, there's gonna be a clip here and a clip here. You're just gonna lift those up, and that'll release the housing for the headlight. Some people will have a cover back here, but if you don't have a cover, what you're gonna do is just unplug your headlights with these 2 plugs right here, or connectors. Set those to the side and just kind of remember which one goes where. Otherwise, your high and low beams will be mixed up. All right, so now it's time to remove this guy right back here, this big one right there, and then this guy right down here. I don't know why someone would place this with they took away the Phillips that's usually here, but those 3 should remove this whole headlight assembly. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these 2 10mm bolts and go ahead and just use a Sharpie to kind of circle this to make sure you mark exactly where these guys go back. All right, and see, I got my Sharpie lines around that one and that one, so I can make sure it lines up just right. So normally you go in here and remove this and this. So these guys, and then the bottom 3 down here are 4. And then you'd reach in here. There's our 2 10mm that hold in the latch release right there. So we're gonna try to do this, but just know that I skipped a few steps because the previous owner had already gotten this far. I'm kind of nervous because I don't know why anyone would stop at this point. Yeah. So now with that marked and the cable right here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set these screws free. These guys are very tiny. Look at this little nubbins. Very, very tiny little guy. So I'm gonna set that one over there. Ugh. These 2 little screws are down, and this guy feeds right through this hole. And here we go. For the next magic trick, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna release this cable from in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this cover off, which this cover is honestly seen better days, as with a lot of things in this car. So cover's off. And you guys can see this latch release just sits in here, kind of like so. So what you're gonna do is follow this routing, and for the sake of video, I'm gonna go ahead and lift this hood so we can follow this through and make sure we follow this routing exactly. So it comes in from here, comes right along this fender, sticks in here, then right down in here, it goes through that firewall and then pops out the other side. So from the inside, we're gonna pull it that way once we have everything released from that latch. All right, let's see what it takes to release this. So be gentle with this thing. Looks like it just slides out, honestly. Looks like it just pops right out of this thing. Okay. So just push backwards, lift up. And that comes right out. Okay. Kind of worried. That came with the car, but I'm thinking this is too short. I mean, it might route just fine. I don't know. This is risky, but we're gonna see what happens. So we're gonna go inside the car, and then right up in here somewhere is the other part of that release. So I have to find it in this mess. All right. So I've got this guy right here, and I'm gonna kind of show you guys as much as I can. But if you find this guy and you have the actual cable adjusted, it'll take you right to it. But you're gonna want to just pull this through. And let's do that. All right, and if you're able to pull that one out, then you are able to find the hole, pull this one through, being very careful not to damage that. And now we're gonna try to see if we can get that grommet to seal on there, and hopefully we're good. But that's the next step, is to just pull it through, make sure that little waterproofing grommet on there. Where's this one? I broke this one off, but somewhere over here. It's on the ground. But yeah, it's got one of these little flared bases, so it'll pull through, and you pull it hard enough, and then it'll lock into place, and then you'll be good. Now we'll route it and set it up. So now I've got this routed through. You guys can see it right there, popping its head through, and it's routed along this firewall, and it's routed along this fender, popping all the way through. So now we're gonna go over to this mechanism and get that set up. So we're gonna take this latch, looks like this, and you're just gonna take your cable, and this guy just sits right in here like so. So you're gonna have this initial part, you're gonna pull this part forward. Ugh. Well, let's see if we can do this. All right, so just like that. Hopefully the camera was able to show you guys. Here's another view. Pull this and make sure that this has got the ability to yoink, and it'll just do its thing. So now that this is back on, we could go ahead and throw this cover on like so. And we're gonna get this ready to be put back into place. So then all you do now is take this, you're gonna slide it back into place as best as you can. And we're just gonna try to line these holes up and get this guy back in its spot. Easier said than done, but it's not too bad. You just gotta have to finesse it a little bit, play around with it till you find the spot. So we're just gonna get it started. Don't tighten it all the way, because remember, we gotta line those holes up to where it needs to be. So we got one in, and we'll get the other one. So you might have to tighten this front one, just one of them, just a little bit more, just to get it to stay up. Alright, so almost to where we want it, but we got to get this other guy in too. And that's why we marked these circles, so we can make sure we line everything up right where it needs to be. It's gonna take a little bit of finesse. You gotta love when you're doing this and a freaking wire nut falls out of there. Joy. So now that we've got that in place, technically it would be a good time now to test everything and make sure your hood latch release actually works. So I've got that routed, got that tightened. I'm gonna go ahead and close this up. Make sure everything else down here is in place where it should be. Locked. And you can see in there, this is where your emergency release would be. So hopefully that does the trick. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set you guys right here, and I'm gonna make sure this moves when I pull the handle. So let me know if it works. Foot latched. Oh God, fingers crossed. I'm scared. Oh, look at that, boys. We got a working hood release again. You guys have no idea how pumped I am for that. Close that. Let's do it again. Let's make sure it's legit before I button everything back up. Nice. Alright, so we're gonna do this in reverse order. I'm gonna throw you guys right there so I can work. Always in my way. So we're gonna start with this headlight assembly. I'm gonna start with the big one up at the top. So we're just gonna push this through like that and try not to hit anything on the way in. Although this cable is kind of in the way. But we want to get this back in its spot. Oh, something's hitting this. Alright, there we go. I didn't mark this one, so we're just gonna hope that everything lines up quite right. Kind of sad that this hardware is all mismatched. So if you're new to E30s and new to project cars and stuff like that, I mean, I guess that's kind of the territory it comes with. So I'm just hoping and praying that all my stuff lines up. But we're just gonna tighten everything up. Headlight assembly is secure. Now we'll go in the back and wire it up. And then we'll test it before we call it good. Holler if it is. Okay, got those ones. And that one. Hell yeah. Then the last thing that's gonna go on is gonna be your grill. And just like that, we've come to the end of this video. And we're starting off simple with the hood latch release because we're gonna be under this hood quite a bit. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm hoping we'll have some suspension parts in. We'll be doing an oil change. We'll be doing lots of fluid flushes on the next go around to get this thing tippity top. So stay tuned. See you guys on the next one. Peace.